I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap-up for May 1st, 2015, coming to you from a farm in Missouri. Give you a little crop report at the end of this. But first up, I want to talk to you about the U.S. and Iranian navies. It looked like they may be headed for a confrontation or getting close to it. You know, we had that thing last week where, the carrier group, Theodore Roosevelt, was sent to, off the coast of Yemen to intercept some Iranian supply ships who are supposed to be resupplying the Shia Houthi rebels in Yemen. Of course, Saudi Arabia, the U.S. stated ally, is going after them tooth and nail, trying to bring order back into the country. They definitely don't want it to fall to the Al-Qaeda terrorists in Yemen, or the Houthi rebels, who are also terrorists, partial, to the Iranians. And so now we have, an incident where supposedly, erroneously, it was reported that the Iranians had boarded a U.S. flag ships. They did not. But out of an abundance of caution, now the U.S. Navy is going to be escorting vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. It's only about 30 miles wide, and 35% of all the oil in the world shipped by sea comes through the Strait of Hormuz. And so we have a situation where, the U.S. is involved near the Persian Gulf now. Also, they were involved off the coast of Yemen, although they have left. The Iranians, are upset that the Saudis and other Sunni Arab coalition has an air and sea blockade around Yemen, trying to stabilize it. The Iranians say they are not supporting the Houthi rebels. The Sunni Muslims are saying, yes, you do. You're supporting the Houthi rebels and you're destabilizing, that area. But at any rate, things are tense between the U.S. and Iran, which I don't understand why this isn't talked about at the negotiating table instead of, including this in their nuclear discussions. But they don't talk about any of this stuff. You just send the whole Navy out to intercept them. Unbelievable. It sounds bizarre to me, but at any rate, that situation has not settled down a bit. That is a tinderbox out there in the, near Yemen, and also in the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf, and the U.S. Navy is involved. And let's hope they don't get into a confrontation with the Iranians, because I think it would be a disaster. First quarter GDP came in at a whopping, a dismal 0.2%, and here is the paper talking about how dismal this whole deal is. That it wasn't really much of any kind of a the economy sputters. That's what it's saying. 0.2% growth in the first quarter. This after they predicted that it would be 1%. But listen, people like Paul Craig Roberts and also John Williams at shadowstats.com, people like Greg Manarino, who's going to be up next, have been saying, listen, the economy is tail spinning. It's going down. They printed all this money. They handed it to the banks. It didn't get to Main Street. We did not have a recovery on Main Street. And as I've been saying for 5 years, there is no real recovery for Main Street. There is no recovery. There was some stabilization, as John Williams says, some bottom bouncing. There's no recovery, and 0.2% growth is not growth, especially when you factor in any kind of inflation, even the Fed's phony inflation. You've got a contraction. And that brings me to my next story, and that's Baltimore. You think Baltimore is just about police brutality? I don't think so. I think it's about a bad economy. I think it's about an economy where we outsource jobs. And if you take a look at this headline here, and it says, violence takes hold. It's in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and they're talking, they're throwing bottles and rocks and all kinds of stuff, in Detroit. And I think it's about a bad economy. It's about African Americans having double the unemployment rate as the white people do. I mean, if you look at that's if the official numbers, it's 12%. The official, it's probably 30% or 40%. If you take a look at youth unemployment in the black community, it's astronomical. It's unbelievable. And this is like Ferguson. If the president really wanted to do something about it, he wouldn't send somebody like Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. He'd try to figure out how to reinvigorate the city instead of offshoring all these jobs and handing out trillions of dollars to bankers. And that, at its core, is what this is really about. Civil unrest, and it's only going to get worse. The economy's not getting better. The Fed came out and said they weren't going to raise rates. Surprise, well, not really a surprise to me. They're not going to raise rates. The economy's in dismal shape, and they know what we know. It's not getting better. Now, and this is not going to make it any better. This is another story out of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, because I'm a Missouri. Bizarro deal. They're talking about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. The deal's being negotiated in a large part, according to many people, like Bernie Sanders, the socialist or independent from, I think, Vermont. He's saying the thing's being negotiated in secret, and it is a bad deal for a union, a bad deal for our sovereignty. It's not a good deal. Lots of Democrats are against it. At least 60 Republicans in the House are against it. Not good for our sovereignty. You know, this deal could override our laws in our country, and we would be subservient to this deal. A lot of people do not like it. And this fast track authority is going to give the president, a fast track to negotiate it. And if this is going to be negotiated anyway, like the curtailing of the Iranian nuclear program, it'll be a disaster. Absolute disaster. Lots of people love it. Lots more people hate it. It's going to have a tough time making it through Congress. The White House had a big laugh. The White House press corps had a big laugh this week at the expense of Texas Governor Greg Abbott. I mean, Greg Abbott is taking his state National Guard. He's going to keep an eye on the upcoming Jade, Helm military operation, where all these special forces are going to fit in with the public and, kind of learn and help them. A lot of people say that's all boulder dash, and that really is a dress rehearsal for martial law, because the economy is going to fall out of bed maybe as early as this fall. And it's going to be in the months of August and September, and it's going to end about the middle of September. Just when most crashes happen, September, October time frame. But anyway, the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, was basically laughed at by the press secretary and other people in the press corps, because he's going to keep an eye, and he's worried about his citizens' sovereignty and his state's sovereignty, and he's going to keep an eye on the participants of Jade Helm. Now, a lot of people ask me, why don't you talk more about Jade Helm? Because I don't know much about it, other than that it's this military exercise. It's got this PDF. They have a lot of happy words about helping the public. And I know I've been following the economy. I think it's a big story of our lifetime, and I think the economy is doing bad. I mean, look at the latest growth numbers. They're bad, and that's with trillions of printed dollars and phony accounting and buying bonds and quantitative easing, and it's not growing, and it's not working. And it comes a point when, it's already not working, and it's going to be contracting, and you think Baltimore's bad. Now we might have, a world of Baltimores and Fergusons when this thing falls out of bed. But there's not a lot, being done out in the open. And listen, no conspiracy is true until it's officially denied. I think Josh Earnest just officially denied it and had a little laugh, with the Texas governor, who was a former attorney general in the state of Texas. He's no kook. He's a smart guy. And if this does turn out to be a dress rehearsal for, martial law, then you could just add it to the list of lies the Obama administration would like to tell. But, listen, if I was in the White House press corps, I would ask a couple of questions. Number one, why the name Jade Helm 15? I know it's 2015, but why Jade Helm? Some people think it's China at the helm, China in control in 2015. They didn't just, get these names and pull them out of a hat at random, like, Kangaroo Basketball 15, or, Blades of Grass, the color green and blue 15. I mean, Jade Helm 15, why? The other thing is, why the creepy slogan that goes with it? Could you explain this? I'd ask Josh Earnest. Could you explain why the slogan, Master of the Human Domain? I mean, that's creepy. Why the creepy slogan? And that's the problem with the White House press corps. Nobody asks any real questions. And when somebody does, hey, is this some sort of a dress rehearsal for, martial law? It's, I don't know what the governor's thinking. Well, he's not stupid. And as I said, he's a former attorney general in the state of Texas. And he was voted in overwhelmingly by It wasn't even a close election. So, that's just how the mainstream media treats, the general public, and there is no real media anymore that's asking any questions. I know there's bugs all over. I'm on this farm in Missouri, and I wanted to just get to, this is planting season in Missouri. Behind me, a cornfield. It's going to be beans because they rotate corn to beans, beans to corn. They rotate that, and that's around here. Everybody is just going full bore. This is the first time they've had, a dry out period in a while. It's been raining like crazy, and I see a lot of disking. I mean, some of these discs, the machinery here is like moon walking, huge. I mean, tires are way above your head, front and back. They're pulling a 30-foot wide disc, and they're trying to, even out the field and trying to take the ruts out of the field from all the water. And as driving out here from the East Coast, I mean, lots of water, lots of green, lots of a good farming going out. But boy, you get out past Missouri, you get out into Kansas, some places in Texas, and that's subsided some, but out in Oklahoma, Nebraska, especially out in the Southwest, California is ground zero for no water. I mean, when you think that NASA about a month ago said California has about a year left of water, it's dire. It's horrible. I've been covering this, and people have been making comments about how terrible it is and why the governor, Jerry Brown, is so far behind the curve. Now he's like, I'm going to fine people $10,000 if you're wasting water. I mean, maybe they should give up building a stadium and this crazy, a train line that they want to build, high-speed rail out there, and maybe divert that to drilling wells and try to desalinize or something. I mean, I don't know what it is, but he is way behind the curve. I mean, if you wait until NASA says, by the way, your state of 38 million people has about a year's worth of water left. And as far as I can tell, it's about 11 months and counting. I hope they get rain out there. Nobody deserves to be, thirst to death in the United States, but it's not looking good out there. But it's the tale of two different, farming communities. Out west, it's dry, it's terrible, they're rationing water. Out east, they got way too much water, and they're planting lots of crops. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting USA Watchdog with your comments. Got some of the smartest people on the internet here. Also, your donations. That helps us out. Here's my favorite part. Remember, fear not. Prepare yourself physically, mentally, and above all, spiritually. Fear not.